So I will talk louder. So my name is Peter Martin. I'm from Nijmegen, at the other side of the ocean. And I have my own company. I create websites and web applications. And recently I released a free extension called DB8 Site Dev, which is a free checklist that you can use to create your own workflow for websites. And it's free. You can find it at the extension directory. By the way, this presentation the slides will be available online, and all the blue things you can click, so everything will be available. In my hometown I organize a Linux user group. I'm really a Linux fan, and an Open Coffee group. I'm a Joomla volunteer. At the moment I'm one of the forum moderators. In this presentation I will tell something about Internet of Things. I will tell you about two projects I did. I will tell you something about MQTT, which is a message protocol. And I will end with a demo. I think half of the time will be a demo. So, Internet of Things. When we talk about the Internet of Things, we have to talk about Internet of People first. If we are using a browser to work with a Joomla website or to visit the website, we are using the Internet as a sort of road, a sort of layer. When we talk about Internet of Things, it's about the same, but instead of people, it's devices that use the Internet as a sort of road. And this quote I found on the Internet after I posted it myself. The Internet of Things is a network of devices that is using TCP/IP, which is Internet, and it communicates autonomously. And when you think about autonomously, you have to be very, very careful, because we all know what happened in the Terminator. So be careful of Skynet. So if people talk about Internet of Things, it's always about what is the killer app that makes it very popular. Well, I don't think it will be this refrigerator. With this refrigerator, if you take something out, it will order new stuff for you, but it's really expensive. In Great Britain, they have some smarter solution which is cheaper. When you are in the shop, you can look inside your refrigerator if you're out of milk or something else. Well, these kind of things I don't like those. So if I think about Internet of Things, I think about the Arduino. Who has an Arduino? Who knows? Yes, who knows it? This is a very small device that is used by artists and by people using Demotica. It has a microcontroller on it. So you program the microcontroller and you disconnect it. You don't have to update anything. There's no operating system. You just power it and it will start running your program. But it is not the Internet of Things. It's just a thing. And recently, a Chinese firm called Espressif released this chip, and it's really tiny. And this chip, I read about it, I bought it on eBay. I think it cost me about $5 back then. And there was no real documentation with it, but I knew you could use it to connect to an Arduino. And currently these devices are, I think, 66 cents at eBay. So they dropped in price incredibly. The device itself has a TCP/IP stack, and it connects to a Wi-Fi router. So there are a couple of issues with this. The first issue, Haze style commands. If you want to communicate with this device, you have to know old modem commands. And for me it's a bit difficult. The other thing was, the documentation was in Chinese only. Fortunately, some people use Google Translate, or maybe Chinese people helped out, and they translated it into English. And then they found out a lot of stuff. First of all, this is the chip with TX, RX. TX means transmit, RX means receive. You use those for an Arduino. And you have to power it with 3.3 volt and ground. But they found out something else. It has two GPIO ports, and GPIO means general purpose input output, meaning you could put sensors on it, like a switch or a temperature device. And you could put output signals on it, like LEDs. So some clever hackers found out that the chip on this device, you could flash it. So you could put the code that you normally put on an Arduino directly on this one. So you don't need the Arduino for small programs. So you can even use Arduino IDE to program this chip. So I did 2 small projects with Internet of Things. And this is my first project. If you're doing something with electronics, you want to try first with prototyping. So you don't solder anything, because maybe you need to get it in another order. So here you can see a breadboard. And such a breadboard has a lot of pins, holes, and you could put components in it. In the middle you can see there's a gutter, and here I put a chip on it. So you can see that half of the pins is connected to these, and the other half is to the other side. And there you have a problem, because this chip, the pins are too close. You can't put it over the gutter, so you can't use this kind of stuff. So what I did, I created a bridge for it. Very small thing. So now I can use it on a breadboard. But to flash it, you need a USB to serial interface, which is this device, and you have to connect the pins of this device to the other device. So when I connected it, I flashed it. I put Node MCU on it, which is a sort of operating system for Internet of Things. And I found the Lua script that I changed and put that on the machine itself. And I had the temperature device. It would sense the temperature and would send it to a website called thingspeak.com. And on thingspeak.com you can create your own data feeds. And in this case I created a data feed for my own temperature device. It is using REST, which is really nice, but I find something nicer, so I'll come to that later. So my second project, it has nothing to do with music. I used to work at this co-working place. There are other people working over there. And one day I was working there all by myself. And during lunch we mostly eat together. And this time I was only there, the only person. And then one of my colleagues, he arrived and he looked at me. "Oh, Peter, you're here? I didn't expect you here. I have already bought some lunch for myself." So yeah, I didn't have any lunch. Of course, I could have gone outside to the shop. It's only a couple of blocks away, to get some really nice lunch. But well, I'm in IT, Remco is in IT, so we were discussing what can we do to prevent these kinds of issues. So we were thinking about a website with an application. When you arrive at the co-working place, you log in. When you leave, you log out. Well, I think you already know the problem. You have to do additional actions. So if people forget something, it becomes really unreliable. So I was thinking about something else. What's the first thing you do when you arrive at your work? Your jacket, coffee, I heard coffee. Yes, oh, and switch on the light. Some people put on the music, but well, if I did these kind of things, I switch on my laptop or my mobile phone and I connect to the Wi-Fi. And then I was thinking about, okay, I really like Raspberry Pi, and I think I can use this Raspberry Pi for this. So I took my Raspberry Pi with me, I connected it to the local area network, and I created a couple of bash scripts. And the bash scripts would collect every 5 minutes all the MAC addresses in the network, and it would send it to my own web service. And if you think about web services, WordPress has a really nice web service since October 2015. I have 2 issues with that. First of all, I was doing this a couple of months prior the release of that REST API. Oh yeah, and I was also using Joomla. So I didn't have a REST API, and today I heard we have to wait till version 4. So then you can do it directly, but I had to do something else. I used Slim Framework, and someone in the Joomla community, Pierre-André, he wrote a small script to connect to a Joomla database, so I could use Slim Framework with my Joomla database. So it receives the MAC addresses every 5 minutes, and before it stores it in the database, it removes all the other ones. I don't want to be a big brother. I only want who is there now to know. So I had the website, Joomla of course, with the custom application where I can put in all the employees, I mean the people who work there. And of course the MAC addresses, and I was able to show who's there. A colleague of mine, he's a mobile app developer. He wrote a mobile Android app, so we can use this. However, it's one-to-one communication, and it uses REST, which is nice, but a bit heavy. So I was thinking about I have to do something else, and I was looking into message protocols. And one of the message protocols I was really interested in is MQTT. So now a bit about MQTT. MQTT is your publish subscribe pattern. It's really lightweight, it's open source, and it's a layer on TCP/IP. And it works like this. You need one server, which is called MQTT broker, and all devices can subscribe, connect to it and then subscribe to it, to topics. And who uses WhatsApp on their phone? Okay, so you can compare it with WhatsApp for machines. So you have a WhatsApp server. In this case I have an MQTT broker for my machines. You have groups, and I use topics. You have members that are subscribed to a group, and in MQTT it's devices that are subscribed to a group, and then you can post in groups. You have topic names, and the topic names you can think everything, you can imagine them yourselves. However, it's logical to do it something like this, because you can use wildcards, like single level wildcards. So if I do it like this, my kitchen and living room will respond as well. Or multi-level wildcards. So how do they communicate, those devices, using MQTT? Well, first of all, I have a client. The client connects to a message broker. It can subscribe to topics, and it can publish in topics. And the broker will respond with an acknowledgement for the connection, or acknowledgement for the subscription. And also about a publish acknowledgement. However, only when there is a quality of service of 1 or 0, because sometimes you don't need feedback. Like you have a device that only sends information, and if it's lost, no worries. But sometimes you need a real receipt, or maybe once, with switching lights or something. So yesterday there was a talk about security, and they also mentioned Internet of Things devices. So if you are doing something with Internet of Things, make sure you take into account security. There are 3 types of security you have to take into account. First of all, authentication, the access to the message broker itself. You can protect it with username and password, or maybe use public-private key certificate. You have authorization, like in Joomla we have ACL, access control level, and in MQTT you can maybe do something with allowed topics or allowed operations. And of course, with a normal website you have HTTPS, so the connection is secure. With MQTT you can also make secure connections with SSL, or you can encrypt the messages itself. So before I do the demo, first, if you want to do it at home, installing MQTT. If you don't want to buy anything, or you don't have an extra computer, you could use a software as a service. these websites like ThinkSpeak or Adafruit have an MQTT broker that you can use, and they're free. I prefer to do it myself, and I like Linux, so I installed a program, an MQTT broker, on my Linux machine, and it's called Mosquito. And installing it on Debian, you do it like this. And if you want to experiment with it, you want a client on your PC, and I use MQTT FX, and it's available for different platforms. So besides your computer, you also might have a mobile phone. There are clients available for the mobile phone as well. And of course, I was talking about this small chip. You can find some stuff for regarding MQTT for this chip as well. And finally, if you're doing stuff with Joomla, you need something with PHP. So there are PHP libraries available. So I think it's time for a demo now. So first of all, there's a small problem when you use these devices, because those devices have to connect to a Wi-Fi router. So if I flash it at home and I'm here, it might be difficult because it doesn't know the SSID here and the password and the username. So you can use a router with you. And in my case, I have a Raspberry Pi with me. I have a case around it. And sorry, Nick, my son, if you're seeing this on video, I took this without you, without permission, but I will put it back at home. So I switch it on, and in this case, I have a Raspberry Pi that functions as a Wi-Fi router and as an MQTT broker, because I installed both on this machine. So now I have to do something with the screens. Can I change the... Yeah, I have to. Okay, I hope it's still visible. Yes. So I can see what I'm doing, and you can see the same. Oh. So the first thing I do, I have a program called MQTT FX. Here I have to connect to my Raspberry Pi. So this is the my own network here, Skynet. And when it's connected, so now my laptop is connected to my Raspberry Pi over here. So what I do first, in the MQTT FX, I say connect, and I already defined everything. And in worker status I can subscribe. So here I can see all the things about MQTT on the Raspberry Pi. So the first thing I do, I subscribe to a channel, and for this presentation, for this demo, I use a channel called Test. When you're at home, I advise you to use different channels. So you can have different channels for triggering stuff or for getting information back. In this case, it's all on the same channel. So I subscribe to Test, and let's do something with publishing in Test. So I say hello JWC, never go to subscribe. It works because I can see hello WC. This is not really exciting because I'm doing everything on one PC. So let's do it differently. I have a mobile phone, and on my mobile phone I first have to connect to the same Wi-Fi network so I can connect to the broker. So I'm connected to my broker over there. but I have to start an MQTT client. And in this MQTT client, I say to a topic called test, I just the word mobile. And if I do a publish, it says mobile. So now the mobile phone is also in the same network, also MQTT. But this is not really Internet of Things, it's me playing with MQTT. So let's look at something different. So here I have the ESP chip. I fabricated this one at home. There is one thing with these devices. I told you it's using 3.3 volt. And here I have a battery pack, and with 3 batteries of 1.5 volts, so it makes 4.5 volt. You should not put it on this chip. So I have a sort of small board, and this small board will convert it. So I just connected it, and when it starts to light blue, there would be a connection. So, oh yes, there is a connection, because this device, I let it announce when it's connected, and it says that it's DHT22, which is the small white thing on top of it. So I can ask for, I programmed the device to listen to temp with a question mark. So it will say it's 24 degrees here right now. I can do the same with the humidity. It's 34.4, and let's do something like this. And let's ask for the humidity again. Yeah, 92. So you see it changed. But this is still not really autonomously. I mean, I triggered the action of this device. But I could also program this device. So every 5 minutes or every minute it would send such information to this broker. So if you have such a chip, how to flash it? Well, you need to install Arduino IDE, which is an IDE that you use for the Arduino as well. And in this Arduino IDE, you put some program, and you have to put some libraries like pub/sub client, which is MQTT, and ESP8266, so it knows how this device works. So I hope it works. Here I have a small breadboard with the ESP chip on it, and this is my TTL converter, USB to TTL. So I connect it to my laptop. Now it's off, and if I want to put information on it, I first have to compile it. So now it's compiling my code into machine code, and when it's ready, I will flash it to this chip. And when I flash it, I have to press the reset button, otherwise it doesn't work. So now it's done. It's compiled. So I will upload it. Yes, it's working. So now you can see on the screen it's uploading the code I have in my IDE to this machine. And when it's ready, you will see it will stop blinking. But this is just a program. By the way, I programmed this device to listen to certain information on the test channel. And the information should be blink. So if I go back to this channel, and now it says I'm an alarm LED, I put it in, I go publish, and I say green blink, publish. So you saw it blinking, green, You not, because he was standing in the front of it. So I do red blink as well. So I just sent a message, red blink, to the channel, and this ESP chip sees it and it triggers the LED. But this is not Joomla, is it? We are a Joomla conference. So let's do Joomla with this. So I have presentation. Okay. Yeah, my screen is missing the bottom bar, so therefore I have to look over there. So I have a local host, and the local host has Joomla 364. And on this Joomla website, I created 2 plugins. And I already installed those. And one of the plugins is called one of the plugins is a content plugin, and the other is a user plugin. So let's look at the user plugin. Here I configured the IP address of the message broker, the port, and red blink. So now I go to the front end of the Joomla site. Oh, I can't see it.
Sorry guys, can you close down?
Video guys.
Video.
So this is the front end of the
Control minus.
Yeah, but then I have to go to the render. I have to decrease the screen a bit, the resolution. I think this is better. So let's assume I'm a hacker and I see a Joomla website, and for one, I don't know why. This looks really old-fashioned. So let's assume I'm a hacker. I go to a Joomla website, and let's just open it again. This is not workable. Okay, so let's go to the front end, index.php, and option is user, or was it user? Yes. So I'm a hacker. I see this login screen, and I log in as a hacker. If Joomla, if you do like this, Joomla will trigger an error, and my plugin listens to this error, and if I do it like this, the red light should blink, because I get an error and the red light blinked. This is not really why you make websites. You create websites for visitors. So I created another plugin which will trigger when articles are read, and then the green blink should blink. So now I'm opening an article, and you saw the green thing blink. This is nice, but what if you have a web shop and you want to see the visitors who buy something? Well, you can write a plugin for that, and you can just let it blink. But maybe you want to have something more advanced. Well, in that case, you could do something like this. Wait, I have to connect to my Raspberry Pi first. So I'm connected to my Raspberry Pi, and I have a small script over there. And the script will run a Python script I created on my Raspberry Pi. I have an LED matrix on it. So when I go back to my website, and oh, I already closed it, and I open an article, it says green blink, and it should say something here, like, yes, which article is opened, from which IP address, which is number 1 because it's my local area. So instead of things like this, you can maybe see the things that have been ordered, so the prices or whatever. So I installed, I wrote a small script in Python on the Raspberry Pi, which is a client, and it listens to the MQTT, and it will publish everything which is published to test to the screen over there. So what I've done so far is communicating from a Joomla website to other devices. But what if you want to communicate from another device to your Joomla website? Well, we can do that as well, but not with MQTT. We have to use WebSockets for that. Who knows about WebSockets? Great. So I was trying to do something with WebSockets, but let's disconnect this one first. And I have Mosquito MQTT on my Raspberry Pi, but it's an old version, and I didn't get WebSockets to run on it. Fortunately, I have another device as well, which is a router, and I got it working on this one, but now it isn't. I have to increase the power a bit. Okay, now I see the light go on. And meanwhile, I have to do some stuff, like I disconnected from this Wi-Fi, and I have to connect to the other Wi-Fi now, which not yet there. So let's go to the Joomla site. And I told you I have a bit of a problem with that side of the screen. So what I have to do now is I go to extensions, modules, because I created a module that listens to WebSockets. And let's put it to another position, to the left. That should do it. So if I go like here, this, yes, nothing is working now. So I first have to connect my computer to the local Wi-Fi again. Yes, there it is. So I go to my MQTT client. I do the same over there. Okay. And if I go to subscribe to test. So what I did, you saw a sort of message over there. If I use my mobile phone again, I will connect to the same again over there. It's a bit difficult when you disconnect stuff because you have to connect again, and but anyway, on my MQTT broker, I have a topic test, and I will say, hello Joomlers. So if I put a message, hello Joomlers, on my mobile phone, and in this case it's just me doing it, But you could also have your devices doing the same. So if I do publish, it's displayed in the website. So in this case, I got some communication back. But for this, I used WebSockets, and it uses another port, like 9001. I have my slides, but also all my code available on the internet. And if you want to try this kind of stuff yourself, feel free to download it and make any changes. So that's it. Are there any questions? No? Okay, thank you for your attention.